Um, Make sure you turn to page 104. Thanks for having me. So, after this is over, you will be knocking out plant characteristics and plant evolution. But, mm-mm. So, make sure that you have your notes. I know some of y'all did not finish them. The one thing you'll learn about notes is it's about summarizing. So don't write everything down. As long as you know what it means, you don't have to write all of it. Um, what is a plant? So nearly all plants are autotrophs, organisms that produce their own food. All plants are so eukaryotic that contain many cells. In addition, all plant cells are surrounded by cell walls. So you can shorten that down if you choose to. If you need to write everything in black, it's up to you. Um, but this is why when we talked about cells, the reason why we focused on animal and plant cell and what was the difference? What was inside of one versus the other? What their function, size, all that. And this is why, because we have a whole unit on plants. Sadly, we don't talk about invertebrates, vertebrates. Um, we don't talk about animals anymore because that would have been good to do plants than animals or whatever. Uh, but plant cells are eukaryotic because the reason animal cells are also, and as it says, the only difference has a cell wall. And it's not prokaryotic because it is not a bacteria. Uh, Photosynthesis. So we breathe out carbon dioxide, which is a gas. Um, if you didn't learn in sixth grade, we will definitely be reviewing different gases, solids, liquids, chemicals, stuff like that. Uh, it'll be super brief. Uh, but the carbon dioxide is what all plants use for food. That is why the more trees, the more plants we have, the better off we can breathe. So, sunlight provides the energy for this food making process, photosynthesis. That's it. I mean, you can write on that, photosynthesis, a plant uses carbon dioxide, gas, water to make food and oxygen, and you learn more about this photosynthesis in section two. Uh, so plants are multicellular, just like we are. We have different layers, but the one thing about plants, if they're a huge tree or they're itty bitty, like moss, for example. If you ever see moss on trees or on rocks, they're plants. So it is. So tissues, groups of similar cells that perform a significant function in an organ. That's it. So, for example, most plants that live on land have tissues that transport materials throughout their bodies. So, plants don't have bloodstreams. They use the tissues to move the different nutrients through their body. So, as you see on your right, there's the plant cell, and you see the vacuole, the nucleus, the chloroplast, cell wall, cell membrane. There's the mitochondria, the Refiar, smoothie R. Uh, so this is why we stayed heavily on this. So chloroplast, and if you remember, chloroplast is what helps give the plants its color. And only plant cells have chloroplast, animal cells do not. A vacuole the same way in a plant, more so in a plant for real, is a large storage sac that can expand and shrink like a balloon. So it stores many substances, including water, waste, and food. So either one of those two work. If you can remember that it is a big storage sac that shrinks like a and expands like a balloon, that's cool. Now, if you want in depth to know that it stores many substances and water and different waste and food, write that down. And if a plant wilts, means that it's like falling over. Like one day it's standing up and then it's just leaned over. That is wilted. Apparently, that is when there's no more water left for real inside the plant. So the cuticle that covers the leaves, cuticle helps a plant reduce water loss, is a wax waterproof layer. So it is not what's after the word, it's before. And also cuticles, if you look at your nails, that's what they're talking about. So vascular tissue, so transporting tissue. That's it. It's used to transport materials. So you don't have to write any and everything. I mean, you can write it as a system tube-like structure inside a plant through which water, materials, and food move. So like a blood vessel. Um, so plants are good at very different seasons. Also, they're really good about adapting to all things that are going around um, with the climate and different weather. Plants are very, very good at obtaining water and other nutrition that they need, and they mostly get those from they get the nutrients from the ground. Um, let's see. Also, plants are able to support themselves. Look at trees. They don't need anything to hold them up. The little flowers don't need nothing to hold them up. They're able to support themselves. Reproduction. All plants undergo sexual reproduction that involves fertilization. So fertilization occurs when a sperm cell unites with the egg cell. That's it. So when they mix together, just like a human, animal, boom. The fertilized egg is called a zygote. So if you are not finished, I'm just pretty much telling you what you should write. So the different classification of plants on 108 is very good about breaking it down to different ones. We will be talking about all of them. Non-vascular plants do not have the true vascular tissue for support or transport, so they grow low to the ground. So moss in damp, shady places. Liverworts grow on a moist soil and rocks. Never heard of it. And vascular plants, they have vascular plants are better suited to life in dry areas than a non-vascular plant. So non-vascular plants you're always going to see in cool places, wet places. Vascular plants you're going to see everywhere because they can grow pretty much any and everywhere they need to. So gymnosperms, I had to make sure I said this right, are vascular plants that reproduce by seeds. They do not form flowers or fruits. So that's interesting. So these, so looking at what they produce, they mostly produce pine trees. Uh, what is it? Trees with different nuts. Uh, Interesting. So seedless vascular plants. Seedless vascular plants reproduce by making spores. Uh, I've never seen one of these trees. Uh, oh, so ferns, horsetails. These plants look like the ones that they have in Jurassic Park. Interesting. So the correct way to say this is angiosperms. A lot of them are mostly flowers, cactuses, wheat is in one of those categories. These are vascular plants that flowers and produce seeds that are surrounded by fruits. So there's a greater there's a greater likelihood that most plants and trees are in this category, but mostly plants. My activity on 112, I'll do that one day. So technically, um, so origin of plants. In the search of answers, biologists have studied fossils and traced ancient life forms preserved in the rock and other substance. The oldest plant fossils are about 400 years old. The fossils show that even at the early date, plants already had many adaptations for life on land, including vascular tissue. Better clues to the original of the plant came from comparing the chemicals in modern plants to those in other organisms called chlorophyll, found in the chloroplast of plants, algae, and some bacteria. I think I'm going. Let's look on Amazon for some fossils. I'm seeing books, but I don't really see like fossils that are kind of made and you can rub them. They're definitely not, but it's also giving me shells. So sporophytes is the plant produces spores, tiny cells that can grow into new organisms. So those little things that the seeds fall off the trees, um, like the little helicopter things, those would be spores. Uh, Trying to think of some others. But a lot of this terminology, unless you're going to, I don't want to lie, but I did not talk about plants in AP biology. Uh, Environmental science, you might also, but if you plan on being a botanist, which is somebody who messes with plants, you're going to need to know these words. Gametophytes. So the spores that develop into the plant's other stage is called gametophyte. The plant produces two kinds of sex cells, sperm and egg. So pretty much they make sperm and egg. That's the stage. That should be all of your vocab words. So these questions you will, how do vascular plants differ from non-vascular plants? Um, that is definitely on page 108. Also, how can they compare? 108. Describe and order the major events in the life cycle of the plant. Where is it? That is on 111 because it shows you the gamma-phytes. So it's kind of showing you both. Shows the spores being produced, the egg and the sperm being produced, how the zygote is formed. So there is your life cycle. So one, the last two questions are on 108, and then 111 is the second one. So make sure that you finish your notes. Um, Make sure you do your CK12 uh, plant characteristics and plant evolution. Also, make sure that if your project is done, um, and you're not presenting, so you're not going to stand up in front of the class and you're not going to get the 20 extra credit points, then you need to go ahead and turn it on in. So you can go ahead and get your grade, we can get it done over with. The earlier you turn it in, the better. If you are done and you're still presenting, um, you will be able to present until Friday. So get it done. On Monday, you'll be getting a list of work that you have missing if you have it out. If you don't have it out, you're lucky. If you do, get on it. If you are playing spring sports, make sure you turn in your work ASAP because you turn it in late and at the last minute. I'm not rushing to grade it. So if it is in, if all your CK12 is done, which I did the math, you will have after from this week until we first started them, it's 20 altogether. So if all 20 are done, you're good. If you are not, you better get hustling. Grade checks I know are next Tuesday, and I'm only updating grades this weekend. So if you do not turn it in before the weekend is over, so if you play flag football, soccer, baseball, um, or run track, make sure you turn in your work. Um, if you have any questions on the project, make sure that you see me or Mr. Ward. Um, make sure if you were absent, make sure that you ask for what you're missing. Um, if you have not taken your vocab test, see Mr. Ward because hopefully that is makeup days on Friday. If you have not finished your other test, um, hopefully makeup days is Friday for most of y'all, unless there is class time, and then you can literally sit at the back tables and get it done. Um, so make sure you get your work done, turn it in. Any questions about anything, let us know. Make sure all your missing work is turned in by, make sure you get it done Saturday-ish so it can get put in.